Here is a step-by-step buying process from A to Z. It's super simplified. I've been doing this for my clients, my buyers, and my sellers so they understand the process for what feels like 100 years. I've done probably hundreds of these, if not more. So here it goes. So follow along. If you have any questions, comment below. I can even do more videos like this. If you like it, subscribe as well. So again, this is a super simplified step-by-step process. This may vary, so talk to your realtor, or if you're working with me, I will definitely walk you through every step as we go. First things first, get pre-approved. So it's super important to talk to a mortgage broker, bank, whoever you're using, credit union. It is super important to get yourself pre-approved. It is important to know how much money we have to work with. How much money are we going shopping with? So that is number one. The worst thing ever is going out and falling in love with a place and then finding out that you can't get financing for it. Okay, so first things first is money. So show me the money. Then after we get pre-approved for a set amount, we go and look at homes in that price range. Then we go view properties. So we go as many properties as it takes. It could be 1, it could be 3, it could be 10. So whatever it takes, we're going to go view properties. The moment you fall in love with a property and you feel like it's the right property for you, your family, you can envision yourself living in the property, then we want to put an offer on the property. So of course, we haven't done inspection right now. You haven't put any money in. There is no deposit, nothing. We're just going to do some paperwork. And in good faith, we're going to put in an offer. The offer consists of 3 major components: your price, your dates, and again, it's just simplified. There's going to be a lot more, and subjects or conditions. The subjects could include financing. So even though you were pre-qualified here, it's important to still get financing because the bank has pre-qualified you based on your income, your financial situation, but now the bank's going to do an appraisal on the home most likely, and they will approve you based on that home. So financing is going to be important unless you're paying cash for the home, which then we don't need to include financing. And then inspection. Inspecting the home and the property. Insurance. Is the property insurable? Are we going to have a problem? Without insurance, we can't get financing. So it all goes hand in hand. Insurance is going to be super important. And then documents. So I'm just going to leave it as a general one, documents. And this could be the property disclosure statement, title search, etc. So it could be other documentation as well. If there's a septic, if there's a well, if there is a tenancy agreement and you want to take tenants on, there's could be other things as well. But for the most part, 3 major components. We have the price, the dates, the subjects. Subjects consist of financing, inspection, insurance, and documents. So let's say we are asking for 2 to 3 weeks, but let's say 2 weeks to do our due diligence. So we hand in our offer with these items in there. So we're going to negotiate on price, for example. We go back and forth with the seller. And if they're happy and you're happy with the price, then that is good. And dates. So of course, we have to make sure that the seller and yourselves as buyers can work out dates that makes sense for both of you. So this is the dates, the completion and possession dates. So completion is when you buy the place and possession is when you have the keys. And of course, our subjects. So we'll add the subjects in there. It's about 2 weeks. Most sellers will be okay with you doing your due diligence on their home to make sure that you want to buy it. Once everything is good and both parties are happy with the offer, then it becomes an accepted offer. We want to get to an accepted offer as quickly as possible because in this situation, it's up to you, the buyer, to do your due diligence and make sure you're comfortable with purchasing the home, and the seller is not able to bump your offer for another offer. So if there's another offer that comes in, the seller has to honor your offer. So we want to get there as quickly as possible. But you, the buyer, are not necessarily buying the property yet. You're just putting in a good faith offer. with conditions to do your due diligence. So now we have an accepted offer, and only then we dive in and do our due diligence. So financing, so we send in the contract to the bank and say, hey, it's great that you've approved us as the buyer, but what about the home? So we want to get that house appraised, or whatever other documents might be missing. The bank then will give you a final approval on this purchase. Inspection. So of course, inspection. So inspection is awesome. No home is perfect. The inspector will find some stuff, but it's a matter of how big those issues are. And if the issues aren't too massive, or you feel like you can take care of them. So the inspection is really, really important. And insurance, of course, as well. So we will ask for insurance quotes. A lot of insurance companies don't want to go too far out, like they like about a month before completion, but it's good to get the process started. And documents. So property disclosure statement, we call it the PDS. So that is a document where the seller tells the buyer to the best of their knowledge what they know about the property. So it's mostly a questionnaire with yes or no questions, and the seller fills that out in a disclosure. Keeping in mind that that is an optional document. I don't like my buyers to rely on it. It is simply a guideline. And title search as well. So again, we have the title search. I love my buyers to get a notary or a lawyer to review it, especially if it has easements or right of ways on it, or building schemes, or whatever it might be. It's just good to have a lawyer take a look at it just to say, you know what, this is what it is. Because anything that's non-financial, if it's not a mortgage, you are taking that on. So that's going to get transferred to, technically, when you buy the property, it's going to be on your title now. So you're taking that on as well if it's a non-financial charge. So now we're going to say, okay, so 2 weeks have passed. How are we doing? Did the banks give us financing? Perfect. How is the inspection? Did it go well? Is there not too much of a risk that I can't deal with as a buyer? Or is there something that's major, like a structural integrity or something of the home that is questionable, and maybe that's not something that you're willing to take on? And how are the documents, the title search, property disclosure statement, and so forth? So again, if you're happy with everything, that's awesome. We'll move to the next step. But if you're unhappy with any of those things, so let's say the bank will not finance on that property, or the appraisal came in lower than your asking price, or the inspection came back with massive problems that you're just not willing to take, or the documents didn't read well. Maybe the title search has a right of way or an easement on a portion of the property where you want to build a shed, and now you're not able to. So there are things to look into as well. So now if you're not happy or satisfied with any of these, or can't get financing or something like that, you actually don't have to buy this property. So now what you could do is we basically get a release of this property, and we just go back to square one. So we start looking again, and we find the right home for you. And keep in mind, you didn't put any money down at this point. This is just a matter of putting in the contract in good faith. We want to make sure that it is in good faith. Of course, we're tying up the offer so the seller can't look at other offers, or at least can't accept other offers. And they can do a backup offer, but they can't really accept any other offers until you're done doing your due diligence. But let's say that everything is beautiful. The bank's going to give you money. Inspection went reasonably well, and you're okay with some of the stuff that's been found, and the documents are great, and you are now ready to purchase this property. So now we remove subjects or waive conditions, and this is where your deposit comes into play. So again, so even at this point, we want to make sure that we have some deposit liquid. So if it's $10,000, $20,000, whatever the deposit might be, we want to make sure that it's liquid, because it needs to be due around this time. So let's use 20K as an example. So now you are committing to buying this property. Not here, not here, not here, here. So you're committing to buy it, but this was only maybe 2.5 weeks from when we put the offer in to when we remove subjects. So And then, of course, these dates, let's say they were like 2 months out, right? So these are the completion and possession dates. So after you remove your subjects, you put your deposit in, that seller can go shopping. They can go find something else right now. And now we find a lawyer or notary. So they're going to do all the conveyance. They're going to transfer the property into your name on completion date. So we used an example of 2 months for completion. And then possession is when you get the keys, and that's when you move into your new home. Quick note, possession and completion dates do not have to be the same day. I know in other provinces that might be different, but here they might vary. So completion might be on a Wednesday and possession might be on a Thursday or a Friday. So again, that is something that we can determine with the seller and what works for the buyer and seller together. Make sure everybody is happy. So this is kind of how it works in a very, very simple way. If it's a strata property, of course, there's going to be strata documents to review as well. If it's a tenanted property, you want to move into the property. So it has to be 3 months before you move into the property. So that'll have to change. And the seller would technically have to give them proper notice of 3 months, assuming you, the buyer, want to move into the property. So there's a lot of things that can happen to keep in mind, but very basic. This is like dating, okay? So you go, you have coffee dates with a whole bunch of people. Let's say, you like 3, 4, 5 people. You go on coffee dates. You narrow it down to one person. You're like, okay, it's kind of getting serious. We're doing our due diligence here. We're learning about them, meeting their parents maybe, then the engagement, and then the wedding. So this is serious, and this is very serious. Like, this is happening. This is the kind of the process. I hope this was helpful. Comment if you have any questions, any more videos you'd like me to do. And of course, subscribe for more very valuable information. Bye for now.